Hey everyone, my name is Debbie and I'm with Jay and this is our wonderful guest Bronni and she's going to come on and talk and be completely raw and vulnerable and tell us her story about her life and her truth. I just want to say welcome. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
You're
Good
very
afternoon.
welcome.
Good afternoon, Deb. It is about coming up on 5 o'clock here in Mountain Time in the United States, and welcome to Real People, Real Stories. Raw Bron. Bron is coming in from Australia. What part of Australia do you call home?
Country, yeah, Australia. So down the east side of Australia.
Deb, are you able to hear Bron? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you good.
Okay, it must be me because it's very low on my end. I'm just going to have to lean in a little bit more so than I like to hear you. Um, so Bron, welcome to the studio. And on behalf of Deb and myself, I am just so thankful uh, that you accepted graciously Debbie's invitation to come on to the show today to share your story. And one of the ground rules for us is that we are here to create a very safe environment, a safe space for the three of us to hold your hand as you share with us as much of your story that you are willing and able to share with us. And at any time, if you feel that you need to take a break or take a deep breath, uh, that's a beautiful thing. And so, this is about us just allowing you to come on and hear your voice and speak your story so that perhaps if there's a person that is listening that is in the show with us live on a broadcast or catches us on a replay and they hear one thing that resonates with them, that gives them the courage to start to make a change in their life, to improve their life and allow themselves to heal their own minds, bodies, and souls, then we've achieved what our intention is, what our motive of this show is to help others see that through speaking up and hearing our stories out loud, we not only help ourselves heal, but we perhaps inspire others to step forward in their healing process. And so I just want to honor you in this moment and thank you so much for having the courage to step forward today and know that you're in a safe zone. And so uh, with that, welcome to the show, welcome to the studio, and I'm just going to invite you to begin your story where you feel comfortable.
Well, thank you very much for having me on the show. Um, I'm not a long way in my journey. I've just discovered that I need to get my story out there so that other people know it's okay to talk about these things and it's not your fault, which is something that has taken me quite a lot of years to understand and come to grips with the fact that um, traumas that have happened in my life were never my fault. I was sexually abused by a brother right from the early age of 6.5. And that went right through for many years until he left home to go work elsewhere. I tried to reach out. I tried to reach out to my mum. I tried to reach out to my teachers, and I wasn't believed. And that was, maybe it is my fault. Maybe I did deserve this, maybe this is normal stuff that goes on. I really wasn't sure. So I've just I stumbled through life for many, many, many years. And it wasn't until I was working as a sheriff and I got held hostage
Oh,
that the realization came that, wow, I've blocked all this out for so many years. I put up such a big wall and blocked everything out for so long. And when I had that incident at the sheriff's office, and I started with the counselling, it was really hard because I had to then deal with some of my personal issues first and get that out in the fore before I could then deal with the issue that had happened at the sheriff's office of being held hostage. So I've had many, many, many years of counselling, moved to, different jobs and different counsellors along the way, trying to just survive more than anything, survive life and to be able to deal with this the best way that I could. I've been in two very abusive marriages. One was very physical and one was an emotional abuse. And I just kept thinking that I wasn't worthy. I wasn't worthy of love. I wasn't worthy of happiness because I was dirty from what had happened when I was 6.5. I have carried that for many, many years. In 2003, I decided, oh, it's time to step up and take action against my brother. It's never too late to step up and say anything, and in order for me, in my healing process, I had to go ahead with it and get my head around things. It went to the Magistrates Court in 2004, and it was then adjourned and had to go to the county court. Now, the police officer I was speaking to at that particular time, he said only one in 100 cases will actually make it to court, to the magistrates' court. Only one in 1,000 cases will make it to the county court. So there's a big stigma about bringing these things out in the open, because we're not believed. For many years, women and men who have been sexually assaulted have just not been believed. I was a 6.5-year-old child, I had no other way of knowing what was going on, really. Anyway, in 2005, my sister actually took action against my brother as well because she was affected, one of my sisters. And in 2005, he actually pleaded guilty. There were other family members there in that courtroom supporting him. My sister and I just had each other, and that was it. And he pleaded guilty. He pleaded guilty in front of all of those family members. And it was such a relief for me because I thought, finally, I'm going to be believed. Someone in the family is going to believe, he's pleaded guilty in front of these people.
Why do you think he did that? Because I don't know what the percentage of people that actually are willing to do that. What do you think did you ever ask him why he was willing to come clean?
I haven't asked him. I haven't had that conversation with him. I have forgiven him. I do say hello when I see him, but I don't get into an in-depth conversation. He still feels very uncomfortable about the whole thing, and I think the last time I saw him was actually a few months ago at my mum's 80th birthday. And my younger son is 12 and he wanted to meet him. He wanted to know who this man was because grandma's always talking about this man. And I took him up to my brother, and straight away you could see my brother's shoulders oh shit, what's she going to say? He sort of just slumped over, and I said, oh, hi, Philip. This is my son, and he wants to actually meet you. Daniel, this is your uncle. And it brought such a smile to my brother's face. To me, that was so healing for me. But if I hadn't been doing all this work along the way, I don't think we would have had that, because then straight away, the rest of his family who were there, his son, oh, hi, Daniel, I'm your cousin, and introduced himself. Everyone sort of then just felt at ease. I think they were worried that I was going to be seen, but I was there for my mum's birthday. I wasn't there for any other reason whatsoever. When I first brought this out with my family and my brother at Christmas of 1998, it was, I tried to talk about it then as in a family unit, and he didn't want a bar of it, and my family didn't want a bar of it, and my current husband at the time and I actually got kicked off the property, and I didn't speak to my parents for 16 years. It's only since my dad has passed away that I'm actually now starting to build a relationship again with my mum. She sometimes makes me still feel unworthy, and every now and then she'll say, oh, when your sister took your brother to court, I'm like, hang on, Mum, I took him to court. But she still just sees it as it's lies, it's not truth. But she wasn't one of the family members that was sitting in that courtroom to listen to him plead guilty. I'm trying to build a relationship with her, and I know it's going to take time, but I need to build a relationship with me, more importantly, first.
Yes, I was just gonna say, yeah, you're on the right path, because we can't ever control what other people think or act or how they think or what they believe. They're gonna believe their perspective. You know what happened, and that's all that matters, is what you know what happened, and he knows what happened, and you're dealing with that. It's probably pretty hard for you to try to get that maternal instinct from your mom. You want that connection, and it's just not happening. It must be pretty hard.
It is pretty hard, but I don't think I've ever really felt that maternal instinct from my mum anyway, right from, a very young age. I'm the second youngest out of six. We had farms. Dad was in and out of hospital, in and out of mental institutions as well. So, Mum was trying to do it on her own, and
Yeah.
it was pretty hard. So I now, as a mum, can empathise with some of that, and how hard it is to do things on your own. I've been a single mum for many years since my marriage broke down. So I can certainly empathise with her in a lot of degrees.
You kind of tend to, when I'm a single mom as well, and you tend to just take everything that comes, and it's just you. And so you just take it, and you don't ever disperse it to anybody else, because the only other one is your child. You don't want to disperse that to them, because it's not for them to take, right?
No,
It's
no,
hard. I definitely empathize with you too.
yeah. So yeah, April last year, I sort of let things get the better of me. I ran myself ragged, actually. I volunteer. I do a lot of, help feed the homeless. I was volunteering at the church. I was picking people up, going and picking up a bus and picking up families and everything for church services, and then dropping them all off home afterwards, and catering, and just doing lots of things for everybody else. Volunteering in the school 2 days a week, helping in the classroom. I'm a qualified teacher's assistant. um, and it just all got the better of me. I just felt like I was being used and abused. And one particular morning in church, which is really sad, but 3 different people at 3 different times come up and attacked me, and I'm just like, oh wow, this is just beyond, you know. Anyway, I went on for another week, and I let it stew, which is something I've learned now not to do. You need to speak to people. But I tried to commit suicide with my son in the car, and I'm not proud of that. I'm not proud of that at all. But I felt that was my only option, was to take my son and myself out of the equation. My 2 adult children were happy, you know, they live with their dad. They were happy moving on with their lives. And I just didn't feel worthy, worthy of anybody's love or anything. And it has taken me 18 months now to get to this point, which is amazing, because that just feels like so many worlds away now when I tried to commit suicide, because I've done so much work on me.
Mm.
But the suicide, even though attempt was, it was shocking. I actually pulled out in front of a truck and I stopped. And I don't know, there was divine, certainly I believe in God, and there certainly was divine intervention that day, because I didn't press the accelerator. I had my foot on that brake, but something moved us across that highway so that that truck hit us. And my son, he's on the autism spectrum, and he's 12, but he's on the, and we get across and he goes, ha ha ha, you missed. He honestly thought it was a joke. He thought it was a joke. He didn't take it seriously. But out of all of this, I spent, I think it was 10 days in a mental health unit. My daughter came straight up. She said, no, there's no way that my brother's going into foster care. My other son was there. He was busy with uni. He'd just lost a mate through suicide, so he didn't know how to react. But he was still there as support and reached out, which meant so much to me at the time, because I really thought I'd lost both of them. Then come out of the mental health unit, then we discovered that I've actually got some health issues that were causing a lot of these issues. You know, I'd be blacking out, or I'd feel really weak, and I'd just say, oh, you know, go and have another cigarette, or you haven't eaten today, go and have something to eat, or have a drink of water. And now we've had the process of me dealing with my inner core, but I'm also now dealing with and trying to work out what these health issues were. So I actually see, which is crazy to say, but I see my suicide attempt actually as a blessing for my life and for my son's life, because it's given us a new start, but it's also helped with realizing that there are health issues here. And I could have killed someone on that road and not realized. And that's, you know, something I bear every day, the fact that I attempted to take our lives. But I'm proud that I can now honestly say, you know, yes, there's dark times. There's lots of dark times for everybody. There's night and there's day.
Yeah.
But some dark times are a lot darker than others.
Yeah.
You know, you plant a seed, it doesn't flower straight away. It doesn't become anything straight away. It stays in that darkness for a period of time, working on itself, making itself grow, nurturing itself, so that it can then break through that earth and become something beautiful. And that's where I'm at now. I've come out of that darkness, and I'm starting to become that beautiful plant.
I'm so proud of you. I actually I broke down too, and I was in the hospital for a month in a mental health ward because I had a manic. I was doing almost exactly the same thing as you. I was helping other people. I was helping the homeless. I was doing photography photo shoots for other people, and I just took up all of my goodness that I could give, but I wasn't giving it to myself. I can't just possibly pour from an empty cup, and that's what I was doing. And I feel that's kind of the same thing. And we're so giving, and you have to break sometime. And that's what happened. I was in there for a month to get healthy, and thank goodness I have support. That's when you notice that you're forced to accept help. You're
Yes.
forced to do it, and you can't. If you say no, what's going to happen? You're hospitalized. They're going to help you if you want it or not. So the best way to go voluntarily, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I found it hard too, like because it's taking so long to actually get a diagnosis for my health issue. I found myself sort of going back because I'm limited. I black out all the time and I have heart issues. So I'm not allowed to drive the vehicle anymore. I've got, I wear this beautiful bracelet, which is a medical alert bracelet, but I can be in my front yard, my backyard, and my neighbours either side, and that's it. I can't go any further than that on my own. And I'm not strong enough to be able to just go down the street on my own just in case something happens, because this alarm doesn't, if I press this down the street, it's not going to work. I have to be within confines of my home. So for quite a few months, I felt like a prisoner here in my own home.
Mm-hmm.
But then I started going to church, contacting people, and I had one beautiful friend from church. Every 2 weeks, she catches up with me, and still to this day, she catches up with me. And the minister's husband, he picks my son and I up for church. And through slowly integrating back into the church, I've now realised that people don't know I'm sitting here on my own 5 days a week through the day while my son's at school, because I haven't told anybody. I hadn't reached out and said anything to anybody. And it was really hard for many years. It's been really, really hard for me to be able to pick up that phone or even just send a message to somebody, help, or I need someone to talk to, or, anything. I never thought of reaching out. I just assumed
Yeah.
that people would know.
Yeah.
And people don't know. Everyone is caught up in their own individual lives, in their own families, in their own day-to-day BS, that we don't take time to realize that there are others suffering around us. You need to sort of stop every day and just appreciate that I have life and I have beautiful flowers in my garden, and I just need to be aware of the simple things in life, and ground myself. I love getting outside and just barefoot on that grass. That is so healing for me. Just to ground myself back with nature and be one with nature, and just starting to see the little things, just take a second out of your busy lives and just look around you
Mm-hmm.
and appreciate what you've got. I was so caught up in being so busy all the time because I thought that's what God wanted, whereas it wasn't. He wants me to stay and be still for
Yeah.
me to be able to grow.
Ron, I'd like to, I'd like to just take a moment here to invite you just to take a breath and catch a breath. You've been speaking for some time, and you've been absolutely beautiful in what you've shared. And I wanna acknowledge the last segment that you've been talking about is what we call gratitude. and how you have, through your healing journey and process, you're part of your awakening is, I'm going to paraphrase you, but two things that stand out. One is that you realize that everybody else is dealing with their own, let's say, suffering or pain or traumas or wounds or scars, and in their own mode of survival. And when you had that moment of clarity, that it's, if you're waiting around for them to figure you out and what you need,
Mhm.
your lifetime's going to come and go, most likely. We have to be willing to raise our hand and say,
Yeah.
help, I need help. Whatever that looks like, it doesn't have to be a 911 help. It just sometimes has to be, can you give me 10 minutes, as a friend, just so I can hear my voice? Because what I found in my own healing process is that when I raised my hand, finally, I understood the power of hearing my own my own words come out of my mouth,
Mhm.
either through my mouth or even through my writing, when I just start to write how I was feeling, and then read it out loud, either to myself or someone else. It was really a beautiful way to start to heal. And the fact that you now understand also that you could just be still and enjoy the little simple things in life, just be as you described it, and have that appreciation for the simplest of things that bring you such joy today and gratitude. What a beautiful way to live, and you've experienced that,
Mm.
um, and what a gift that you have given yourself by having this new awareness. Because what a lot of us do, and I'm speaking for myself, Bron, is that we get real busy, and we go into overload, because we think that if we stay busy, then we don't have to feel. We can just distract ourselves with tasks, with to-do lists, with jobs, and all of the responsibilities that we think we have to take care of in our life. And by keeping busy, the busy work helps us avoid feeling what is at the core of our being, at the root of who we are, which is our soul. And when I had my awakening, when I hit my rock bottom, and I had to make a decision, do I want to live or die? I had to be willing to basically unlearn every belief system that I thought was real and what the truth was, and be willing to just be. And I had never, ever just been in my life.
Mhm.
And through, I don't think, what happened for me, Bram, was that when I when I got out of the hospital, I had extreme fatigue and brain fog that lasted for like 17 months. So a guy that used to work, let's say, 15 hours a day, was forced to only work a couple of hours a day for a very long time. And that forced me to learn how to slow down. And through that process, I finally understood. I finally started to see what truly was important. And it wasn't keeping busy, it was slowing down enough to be able to start to feel and see things that I had been missing. The simple things in life that you described, the beautiful flowers, and the birds and the sounds, the sounds that we weren't listening for. And so I
And
just I want to just acknowledge that.
yeah, the sound of running water. Also, I love being right near running water. It's cleansing,
Mhm.
um, and it helps. But I've still got the brain fog. We're still trying to work out, what's happening there medically. But I don't care. I now put myself. I've watched so many of your replays. Watched some of your lives on the.
Mhm.
But I only limit myself to an hour and a half, 2 hours here, and then I'll have a rest. And then I'll come back later on and do it. But I'm getting so much out of it, even though I'm not at the stage where I can afford to work with a coach at the moment, because my medical is just, wow, astronomical. But I'm getting, spent the weekend getting everything organised for a garage sale for next weekend, as well as selling my car, because I'm not allowed to drive my car at the moment. I haven't been able to since April last year. So I figure, look, I'm paying insurance, I'm paying registration on something sitting in my driveway. I don't need to. I need that money more than right now to help with a coach.
Yeah.
So, I'm doing everything I can by watching your videos. I'm watching other motivational things as well, just to help me get out there. But I'm also learning to speak to friends and family and say, are you able to take me shopping? Or can you please take me to a doctor's appointment? Instead of just, no one cares, no
Yeah.
one gives it, because no one knows. And it wasn't until I started realizing that and I started reaching out, now the world is just opening up for me. It's just other people have offered to give me lifts and different things. So much more has opened up because I've opened up.
I was going to say, once you open your heart to accept help, help comes to you in so many different ways. I was in the hospital for a month. I didn't drive. I was able to really see who my real friends are, who my family was. Accepting that help was hard for me to be. I'm independent. I'm a single mom. I do things on my own, and I don't need any help. But that's what I thought and I felt. And I never ever reached out. Until you reach out, like you said, nobody knows. Until I started opening up and being real with myself and seeing it from other people's perspective, it's okay to ask for help. And I'm so proud of you right now. Right now you're asking for help and you're going to receive so much, and I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. Likewise, proud of you. And you
Oh,
also,
thank you.
we've all had our own personal journeys, but then the work that you guys are doing is just absolutely mind-blowing and reaching so many people. I mean, it's reaching us here in Australia, and Jay, one of your lives the other day, you had people there from Germany and South Africa, and just amazing. This internet is wonderful, for if we use it right.
Yeah. We use it
Yeah.
for building people up, and I feel we're so conditioned by our just how we grow up that we're on our own, that we're separate. But when you can let go of any kind of thoughts that you have in your head that you're separate and you want to be an individual, that's ego. As soon as you open up to saying, okay, we are all one, we can, if we help one person, that's, you're helping yourself by helping another person. And once you see that, it's limitless. What we can create is limitless if we just help ourselves first and then others, right?
Certainly.
Two things that stand out. A friend reached out to me last night and texted me and said, "Hey, hike tomorrow morning," which was this morning. And I didn't get back to him till this morning because I was tired after the show the couple show we did yesterday. And I think Nathan Miola and Marette, who were on the show with us last night. But we went on that hike this morning together, and we talked about, and I know this is a friend of mine I know for over 2 decades, about 23 years now. And we were talking about what's the difference between independence and interdependence, independent and interdependent. And for me, the difference is that I thought that, well, I didn't think I behaved as an independent man for about 54 years of my life, including my childhood, because I had to learn how to survive in my home and outside of my home, like a lot of children do. But what we were talking about is that today the power of understanding what interdependence for me, what it means is that I can be independent, but my life is so much better when I'm interdependent with other people and inviting other people into my life. And sometimes it's just by through a smile. We were hiking this morning, and I had a smile on my face, and as did my friend. And this woman crossed our path, and she had this beautiful smile on her face. She was definitely older. She was probably 10 years my senior. And as she passed us, at the same time, she said exactly what I said to her. And we couldn't have planned it. We both said, "What a beautiful smile." And I turned around and I looked at her and I said, did you just say something about our smiles?" And she said, "Yeah." And I said, "Did you hear what I said?" And it was like, we couldn't have planned that. But what it was is that we showed up for each other and we didn't have to say a word. All we did was just, no matter what we were feeling, and my friend and I, we were in a very deep conversation talking about some, I'd say, some painful things from the past. But we did it through just through as even though we were in talking about some painful things, we still were in gratitude, because we were together. We're not thinking about it alone. We were talking about it together. B, we were out in nature. We were hiking. It was cold out. I had my gloves and I had my hat on. It didn't matter. And then we passed this beautiful woman who was out there by herself, doing some self-care. And just in a moment, and just through smile, just through an exchange of a smile, we connected soul to soul, the three of us. And we acknowledged it simultaneously. That's the interdependence that I'm talking about. And it's a beautiful thing once we start to understand the power of doing just what we're doing right now. We touch each other's lives. And as long as we show up for ourselves, and when we understand what that truly means, we then have more to show up for other people.
Mm-hmm.
And we get it back. What we give away, we get back. When we're giving away from a space of love and kindness and empathy and compassion. And I love what you said earlier in our conversation, that you have forgiven your brother. And I'd like to kind of go back to that a little bit, because that's just such a huge topic for all of us. We all have been hurt and wounded by other people's words and behavior, and and actions, and how we all have a different way of navigating through that process, just like the grieving process or loss in life. And I'd love to hear a little bit about, from your perspective, how you were able to work through that process of forgiveness for your brother. Are you willing? Are you able to go there with us?
It was a very long process. Obviously, I've been very hurt for a very long time, but it wasn't until the incident where I was a sheriff that it actually came to the fore. There were different triggers along the way, but when it hit me in the face, I was very angry. I was very hurt. And the first counselor said to me, you really need to forgive to be able to move forward. There's no way known on this earth am I ever going to forgive that blah, blah, blah. And I went on for many years doing the work with the counsellor, but not ever forgiving my brother, because I felt if I forgave him, I forgave what he did to me, and I gave him more power. And that's how I saw it for many, many, many years. And it's only probably been in the last, since the court case, probably just before the court case, that I know by forgiving him, I can move forward. I'm not condoning what he's done.
Mm-hmm.
Need to be able to heal I need to be the better person in all of this. And it did take me so long, so many years. Like, I'm 52 now, you know, and it's taken me so many years to be able to get to that point. But once I have, it doesn't hurt me anymore. I can talk about it now, and I can talk about it to help others, just to let them realize that, you know, well, I'm a victim of sexual assault as well. And I get upset, but I don't get anywhere near as upset because I'm not taking on that hurt of what happened to me. Because every time I thought about it, I used to revert back to when it was happening to me in the moment. And I would also get all of the anger and hurt and the pain, and all of that all kept coming back to me all the time. Whereas once I forgave, it doesn't. I can speak about it now, and I can, yes, it's a part of my life. That's what's made me who I am today. Um, and to be able to talk about it now. And I encourage anyone that they need to forgive to be able to be healed themselves.
And one thing that I noticed you said, forgiveness isn't for them. Forgiveness is to free yourself from the attachment of their actions.
Yeah,
If you
I
think of
refer
it
to
as,
it as bondage, the bondage.
yeah, you think of it as a chain that you have wrapped around your leg because you have not forgiven them, and that's their energy that's sucking from you, and it's not a conscious thing. You don't know you're doing it, but as soon as you forgive, you take those wire cutters and you cut that and you're free. And I was able to forgive the man who raped me and the RCMP officer who didn't believe me when I called. I held that onto that so strongly, especially the RCMP officer, because he was the one that's supposed to help me. So I had a really hard time forgiving him more so than the rapist, because I didn't go to the rapist for help. I was going to that officer, right? But once I was able to completely allow myself to forgive what happened and look at it as, okay, now I can help more people because of what I went through, I was actually able to create a process here in all of Canada that they have to give a card out when a rape or a sexual assault happens, and the RCMP and the police have to give that out. So because this happened to me, I was actually able to help all of Canada, hopefully with the next process. So you have to talk about it, though. If you don't talk about it, you can't feel, heal, reveal. Reveal, feel, heal.
And yeah, it used to have such a hold over me, but once I forgave, he had no power over me anymore.
Isn't that amazing? You think opposite, right? You think it would be opposite, that the more you hang on to not forgiving, the less power they have. You don't forgive them, they don't have power, but it's exactly opposite. And I find what we resist the most is what we need to do the most. So if we're resisting forgiving, if we're resisting meditating, if we're resisting working on ourselves, that's what we have to remember, that that's actually what we need most. And our ego is pushing it away because we don't want to get better. Sometimes we don't want to get better.
You know, what I find, Deb, too, is that pushing through whatever it is that's kind of become a, let's say, a barrier, whether it be something emotional, mental, or physical. To your point, is that when we have the awareness that we just hit that, let's say, that barrier, and we do push through it, we learn and grow from that moment.
Yeah.
You know, because we realize that we just achieved something that we were willing to just throw the towel in on. And sometimes it's a small little thing, and sometimes it can be a really big thing. And it doesn't matter how small or big it is. What matters is that we have the awareness that we're just in the moment, we're stuck, we don't want to do the work, we're tired, physically, emotionally.
And
But
just
when we show up, and we say, you know what, I don't feel like doing it, but I'm going to do it anyway. I could tell you that I don't think that I've probably ever regretted making that decision. I've always come back on the other side of that and go, and thank God I didn't listen to my thinking. And I did in my heart what I knew was probably the right thing to do. So, for example, many days I have, when I go to do my morning spiritual practice and rituals, I know going into it that I'm going to feel some significant pain. I talked about this in my live, I think yesterday morning. And there are days where I'm like, maybe I just won't do that hike today, And I have alternatives. I have choices. I don't have to push. I don't have to go there, and I could still get some exercise in. But I find that when I don't want to do it is when I need to do it.
yes,
And even when I step in physically to do it, I also then have the out and I go, well, I'm going to do it, but I'm probably only going to go a quarter of the way, or I'm going to go half a way. And somehow something happens in the moment that just inspires me, and I push through and I go all the way to the end.
yeah,
And then I realized some point, wow, and this was a day that I didn't want to do it. And my day ends up being an amazing experience because I pushed through that pain.
yeah.
And so I'm sharing this as an example because it doesn't matter if it's physical, emotional, or mental. When we don't want to do it is when we need to do it. When
Yep.
I got to tell you, I coach people one-on-one and I do group stuff as well, but can't tell you how many times individuals, they cancel. Or they go, I thought I was ready, but I'm just not in that space yet. I'm not really ready. I want to feel good. Well, it's kind of like when I used to have, let's say, someone come in and clean a house years ago. We would clean a house for the cleaners to come in and clean the house. It's like when you feel you don't want it is when you feel you're not ready is when you need it.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
When people start talking about painful things, good luck. It's that day's not going to come.
Yep. No, motivation isn't an emotion, and it'll fade. Motivation is something that fades. You have to motivate yourself. And being 385 pounds, you wait for that day to be motivated, and that never comes because you need to motivate yourself. You need to say, okay, this is what I'm going to do right now, and no excuses. Like with that exercise Jay Shetty had, Jay and I are in a group with Jay Shetty, a genius group, and you write down all those excuses, you read them out loud to someone else, reading them as someone else's excuses, and you just see how pathetic they are. You're like, I wouldn't let my son say those excuses, like, I'm not good enough. I'm like, he tells me silly excuses all the time, and I'm just like, you know what, that's not right. And so you crumple it up, you throw it out, and you get to start your new day without excuses. And you can talk yourself in and out and everything, eh?
I'd like to take a second here to just acknowledge the people that are here with us this afternoon and morning and evening.
Hi, Michael. Michael Cameron's on. Hi.
Hey, I didn't even see Michael. I see Cortez coming in from New Hampshire. By the way, anyone that's with us watching this live, if you hear something or that you like or love, hit like or love. I really appreciate all of you being here. Mary Kelly is on. I believe she's at work on her way home. She says, what we resist persists. I love that statement. We have Priceless Princess Jewel. Thank you for joining us. Amy Hicks been on. She's been sharing her thoughts as we have been speaking and sharing our truths. We've got Karen Palmer, Suzanne Dobaz has been with us as well. Bob Smith, welcome to the show. And Nat coming in. And also, I don't always recall what state or country you're coming in. So if you're coming in from any place other than Canada or Scottsdale, Arizona, please let us know where you're coming in from.
I just want to say hi to Brett Williams as well. He's here. He's an amazing life coach who is helping with any kind of women who have been victim of any kind of abuse, that kind of thing, mental, emotional, physical. So I just want to say hi to you. Hi,
and we also have Deborah coming in from Basin, Arizona, Cynthia Lowry, Man, we just got so many beautiful people. Sue Rosario is here. Siobhan, Justin Bauer has been on my show, Real Men, Real Talk Raw. So I just want to acknowledge those that are here. This is what I know is like what we talked about earlier, Bron, is that we can't, we could do this alone, but we know when we're alone, we're in isolation. And when we do it together, when we show up, we are so much stronger because we hold each other up and we help each other get through the most difficult moments, whatever they look and feel like. We don't have to isolate anymore. Isolation does not work.
No, it doesn't. And I think as a society, it's just something that we naturally do now. Before we had walls and permanent houses, I think we had a more of a community and less barriers we put around ourselves. And we just, once we're in our own home with those walls, that is almost it's significant because you feel like, okay, I'm alone. You don't see anybody. I don't hear anybody. There's nobody. But as soon as you step out, and smile at somebody, you realize, okay, there is other people. There are people. And I find when we're going through our own personal turmoil, we not only isolate, but we're kind of a little bit selfish. I know I was. And I was just so worried about my pain. How am I going to get through this? And I couldn't empathize with my son for being happy. He was happy to go to school one day, and I couldn't understand why he's happy. I'm like, I had a moment of clarity there. I'm like, wait a second, there's other people that exist in my life that have emotions as well. It's not just about me. And I think that's somewhere people need to talk about that too.
Yes, I like that. I like that very much. Bron, what I'd like to do is ask you, two things. One is, how are you feeling right now in this moment? How does it feel to be on the show with us? And have you done this type of show before?
No, I've never done this type of show before. I did a video and shared that on Facebook, and it was only a very brief video. I feel absolutely amazing. I'm drained. I feel amazing. I've got the support. I know I've got support, but just to be able to speak and get the message out there that, speak to somebody, ask for help. Don't try and do it on your own. And if someone doesn't help you, like Deb, you had trouble with that police officer, but you took it further and you took action, and now look at the change.
Mm-hmm.
We need to keep finding somebody that is going to believe us, but then help us along the way to our road to recovery. But we need to be able to forgive to be able to move on. And that was a big thing that I'm not forgiving him, because that's only going to give him more power. And it's stupid, because it robbed me of so many years of happiness and making the same mistakes in different relationships. It's crazy. It's madness now that I've got the knowledge and I look back. From now on, there's no wasted years. There's no wasted days,
Beautiful.
That was perfect.
Wow, that just hit me so hard. Whew. There's a saying, you don't know what you don't know until you know it. And I hear some people that have had their own healing process along the journey and their awakenings. And I hear some people say, I just wish I got it earlier. I just wish I knew it sooner. And here's how I see that is, I'm okay with the fact that it took me 54 years to hit my bottom and to start having a willingness to go deep within and work on myself instead of blaming everyone else for how I was feeling, from all of the pain that I was caused by other people's behavior. And that was how I lived my life, and through the process, I learned how to take care of myself. I learned what self-care could feel like. I learned how to begin to like myself, and that was a gateway to loving myself. And through that process today, I don't I'm not a fan of saying, I wish I've had guests on that they woke up when they were 32 years old. I mean, look at Nathan. He's had a few awakenings and he's on his healing journey. It didn't hit me till I was 54. I've had Chris Byrne on, another guy is in his 20s, and Michael Ambrose, another guy in his 20s. Two guys in their 20s that they hit their bottom and they're way earlier than I did. And when I hear their stories, I'm just in gratitude that other people didn't take as long as I did. And for me, that is where the gift comes in. Instead of me like feeling sorry for myself and going, God, I wish, I lost a lot of years and all that. That doesn't serve me. That statement doesn't help me in my healing process. It helps me when I'm able to acknowledge others and honor them. It doesn't matter when we get it. What matters is that we get it. It doesn't matter when we show up. It doesn't matter if we're early, if we're in time, or if we're late. It just matters that we show up.
Yeah.
I just see it wasn't meant to be. It wasn't meant to be until now. I wasn't meant to have my breakthrough until now.
Exactly.
Because I have so much learning to do along the way.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And Jay, it's not a race. Just, like you're never late, you're never early, you're never on time. Same with your journey, right?
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with taking the time. Now you have all that experience that you can help other people with, of how long you stayed unwoken. So that's everyone has their own reason for waking up when they do. And some people just need cold water, and I needed a big ice bath just to wake me up. But some people need to be woken up really gently. It's just a matter of who you are as a person and what you need to go through in order to help others.
The truth of the matter is, here's the reality, is that not everybody wakes up. Not everybody gets it in this lifetime, in their lifetime.
Yep.
Some people go to the grave, and they go to the grave in tremendous pain, and they never come home. They never ever make it home to themselves. And so there's where another moment for gratitude comes in. Bron, and Deb, is that we have experienced the feelings of coming home. And it doesn't mean that let's say we're home yet. I mean, there's so much work still to be done. I don't think we're ever done learning and growing. Enlightenment we're never there. When you think you're there, it means that you just got that much more work to do, because you think you're somewhere and you're not there.
Yeah.
We never quite get there. But as long as we're open and willing to surrender our old thoughts and our beliefs and understand that, you mentioned something earlier, Bron, about reaching out and listening to other people. I love to refer to them as mentors. Debbie mentioned one. Jay Shetty is one of my mentors. I've got close to a half a dozen people that I listen to, that I study. And why? Because they have a little bit more wisdom and enlightenment and knowledge than I do. And so I continue to be open and willing to study other people that have come before me and that have a greater understanding than I had at any given time in my life. And by just showing up for myself and being willing to listen and open-minded to hearing others speak, mentors, teachers, and coaches, it has opened up my world beyond anything I ever could have imagined in this lifetime. I had written off my life. I really thought I was pretty much done. And I had no idea that that's not done. I just hadn't begun.
It's amazing what we can learn from other people. Just even doing the show and having these guests on, I just from your own experience, I'm able to learn from you, from what you say. And there might be something that resonates with me or somebody else that you say because of your journey. And that can just plant that little seed, right? It's all about planting seeds and being an example. It's not about showing people, telling them. It's about living it and really being an example in your own life. And people will see that and they'll feel that you're truly in joy and love with yourself, and they can feel that because of your energy.
Yeah, it's walking the walk, not just talking it, and that's a
Yeah.
big challenge for some people. Bron, I'd like to ask you where you are at today in your healing process, and obviously showing up to and on this show, December 2nd, 2018, is a part of your healing journey and process. Your willingness to show up and have the courage to do something you haven't done before. You know, I honor you for this because I know it's for a lot of people, it's uncomfortable to not only to share your story, but to come on camera and to walk into a space like this. And so I respect you and I honor you for this and I thank you. But with what time we do have left, I'd like to ask you to share with us and our community tonight. Where are you at in your healing journey, and what does it look like for you today?
I'm still in the early stages, the very early stages. I haven't got myself a coach or a mentor to work one-on-one with as yet, but I've still been dabbling, so to speak, in self-help things and doing a lot of motivational stuff as well. I was at Tony Robbins earlier this year, and that was just an amazing event. And I manifested the fact that I could be there. To be there was just amazing. You know, I was there on a scholarship. I sold a concert ticket to pay for my Airbnb accommodation, and friends paid for my train fare there and back. So it was meant to be, really meant to be. And I learned a lot of things there. But when I got home, I got into the comfort zone, you know, the old comfort zone, and stopped doing it. And then I have been reaching out to a couple of people that have been there as well. And now we're accountable. We're supporting one another. And we're going to, I'm going to be joining a new group, 40 Days of Meditation, where, and on a daily basis, I'll have a goal sheet, and that will be a part of that goal sheet, and you have to tick. And if you put a cross, it has to be a tick tomorrow. You cannot have, you know, 2 crosses in a row. So it's just helping to make me more accountable for myself and for my journey. And for my journey to happen quicker, I need to be grateful every morning. I need to have my I am statements every morning. I need to meditate every morning.
Good.
Through the day, I do some exercise. I'm limited with the amount of exercise I can do, but I do still do yogic-like exercises as well, you know, because then I'm still getting the goodness coming through my body and helping my body to move instead of just sitting on my backside doing nothing. You know, I'm one step ahead because I'm taking action. And that's the most important thing is taking action on a daily basis. And I'm still very early days, but I've already made so much progress along the way in the last 4 weeks since I've made that decision to really make a full-on effort. And it's just going to get better from here.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
I wanted to just say, I'm not a trained mentor or anything, but I can be a real good friend, and I would love you to reach out to me and like we can kind of talk about things, because there's a lot of things that I've learned that have helped me through this. So we'll have maybe a video chat every once in a while if you want, and I'll let you know what has worked for me, because there's a lot of things that I'm in Jay Shetty's Genius group, and that just has like really transformed me to where I am right now, and I'd love to be able to share that with you too.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Deb, would you like to just take a few moments to share some of the where you're at in your healing journey today, and if you've had any epiphanies or changes or shifts in your daily routines that have helped you over the past couple of months?
Yeah, well, I think we are all on different levels of our journeys, regardless if it's a healing journey or if it's regardless of, or if it's just regarding moving up or stepping up your spiral, so to speak. And right now I am learning how much in control of the things, negative or positive, in my life just based on my thoughts. So before I would I'm a problem solver and I love being able to solve problems, but I'm creating a lot of them by thinking that there's a problem to start with. So I'm making up this problem and I'm solving it, and then it happens and it's like, well, at least I know how to get out. But I've been able to catch myself before I create that problem that I have to fix, and I just go, oh, wait, stop. And what am I thinking now? And what am I thinking? And then I train myself to be able to bring more gratitude and more love and more everything into my life rather than creating the problems.
Yes.
It's been amazing epiphany for me. Just David Strickle is an amazing Taya boot camp. I'm in Taya 101 with him, and just being able to understand the spiral. There's people that are down their spiral, there's people up in their spiral, and you have no control over how you can help. Like, you can help them by just being an example, by being high up in your spiral, and you have to stay up there and not let the negative affect you. That's kind of where I am in mine, and I'm just starting to realize. I remember I was having my son didn't take out the garbage, and I was kind of going outside, and there's apples all over the ground. They fell on the ground, and I was thinking, oh, there's these apples, and then I didn't even have to think stop. I just stopped, and I looked at the apples, and they're rotten apples on the ground, but there was sun, and I saw the sunlight, and I'm like, that is such a beautiful picture. And I was able to get myself out of that negative thought process and just be in the now. And I think that is the most important lesson, is just right here, right now, this moment now is the only one we have control over.
Yes. Amen. You mentioned your awareness about how your thoughts can take control of your life. Friday night, I had Dick and Bettinger on my show, and he's a teacher and mentor and one of my coaches. The program, the philosophy and how he lives his life, is guided by something called the 3 Principles that was founded by Sydney Banks over in Europe. And Dickens talked about, how it's all about the thoughts, and we've got to slow our thoughts down just through awareness. And, oh, wow, here we go again. And when we slow our thoughts down and we go into pause and distract ourselves by walking away from that moment of thinking, our answers come from not up here, but from within, wisdom, from within ourselves, within our soul. Yep. If you haven't watched the show from Friday night, it's on my feed. It's a great hour and change to listen to a man who was a psychologist, a psychotherapist for over 40 years, and was not in his own, I'd say, space of comfort within himself. And it wasn't until he found the 3 Principles and started to embrace that philosophy that his life improved for himself. And so it's a beautiful show. It's got some great ideas, and I encourage you, if you haven't watched it, to check it out. It's on my feed from Friday evening. We are just about out of time, and I'd like to just invite you just to take a few minutes here. If you have any closing thoughts or words, Bron, and then Deb, you can close us out tonight.
I have watched the Dickon interview, and it was inspirational. I have had a few dramas with my son, and this morning I said to him, right, we need to have a family meeting tonight in regards to internet time. And straight away he turns around and he goes, well, I've decided between 6 and 7:30 I'll go on the internet. Apart from that, it's our time. I went, oh, high five, mate. We don't need to have the family meeting tonight. So interview, because Dickon helped that. But on today's topic, I just want people to know that no matter what, they're not alone. There is always someone available out there to talk to. Don't try and attempt suicide. Reach out. And if one person doesn't believe you, reach out to somebody else, please, because we're losing too many people in this world to suicide because of trauma and different things. Reach out to people, be kind to yourself, and forgive the other person, and just be so kind to yourself, and take it from the heart. Live from the heart, not the head.
Yeah. Thank you. That's exactly, just live from the heart. When you live from your heart center, you don't have time to think, and thinking is what traps us.
Yeah, very much so.
Wonderful.
Bron, I am in such gratitude in this moment for you. I have chills right now. You've elevated me to that level of pure authentic gratitude. Wow. I just, there's nothing that I could say right now that could even come close to your closing words. And so I'm gonna leave it just as you said. I don't need to say anything more. I want to leave the show feeling just the way I feel. You hit my soul tonight, and I would love to invite you back on in the future. I know Deb will probably agree with me that we'd love to have you back on from time to time and share with us where you are at in 2019 as we close out this year and have an opportunity to have more continued lessons and growth and healing of our mind, our body, and our soul. And know that just by showing up on this show and joining us, you never have to be alone. We can hold each other's hands, and we can walk through this beautiful maze called life today and help each other heal and just come from love. And that's all we do need.
And I just wanted to say a couple of words before we leave. First of all, thank you for coming on and being so brave. We connected through Nathan's, one of his live videos, and we started talking, and we became pretty much instant friends. And I'd like to keep it like that because I think you're a pretty awesome person, and I think there's a lot to learn from you too. One thing that I've learned from Jay Shetty, again, is anytime there's something that comes up in my life, regardless of if I'm frustrated, if my son is being a little brat because he's 10, can have quite the temper. When I want to blow up, I just think to myself, I'm grateful for this moment. What can I learn and how can I grow? And if you take every single situation, be it traffic jam, be it somebody gave you the finger, or whatever it is, if you can be grateful for the moment and then what can I learn, how can I grow? The possibilities are endless, and that's just one tip that I think everybody needs to actually hear and do. Once you start doing it, you start just automatically doing it.
Thank you both so much for your beautiful words of encouragement and your support. I'm not shaking anywhere near as much as I was when I started, so I didn't know what to expect, but I certainly would love to come back and touch base in a few months after I've had some coaching. And gosh, life's amazing now. Imagine what it's going to be like in a few months.
It's going to be amazing.
You know what hits me right now, as I'm listening to you two beautiful women. The power of the internet and the power of social media is so profound. Here I am in the United States. Deb, you're coming out of Canada.
Yep, nice snowy Canada.
Out of Australia.
Yep.
And yet we have been able to connect, share our truth this evening, be vulnerable, be authentic, be real, walk through some painful moments together, feel it, and just speak our truths. And it doesn't matter where we live in this global world, we can connect. All we have to do is be willing to show up for ourselves. And this is how it happens. Like you said the other day, I had Judah in from Germany on my live, and I had Adele in from South Africa. This evening, I've got people in my old world. Rita Marie is here. She's
Hi, Rita.
done the show with Debby and I in the past. Hi, Rita. We've got John Fiore coming in from New Jersey. Bob Davis, one of my beautiful clients, and who I view today as a dear friend from down in San Diego, California. We got Matt Kelly, my fraternity brother from when I was an 18-year-old little boy punk who thought I had all the answers. We've got Amanda Warfield. We got Gloria Irigoyen. I know her husband, Ricardo. I know her and her husband were peers and business associates for 26 years, I believe. Richard Bettenhauser, another fraternity brother from New York, who also did time, I believe he was a sheriff of some sort or in the police force back in New York. Michael Cameron coming in from Canada, Cortez coming in from New Hampshire. Man, it's just a beautiful thing. We don't ever have to be alone. It's a choice,
Yeah.
We could live in misery or we could hold each other up, and we get to do that. And it's just a beautiful thing. And I'm just so honored to share this space with the two of you tonight. And I'm out. I gotta close this out because we can just keep going on. And this is like a love fest right now.
I can feel it. You guys, all of us are like beaming our smiles. Like, I just feel how much you have already opened up and you're already on your way to healing. You're already there. Like, I can feel you. You're beautiful right now.
So I'm gonna invite you to have a beautiful week. No matter what you got going on, do some self-care. Take some time to pause on those thoughts and process, and then let it go. Yep. And just listen for the answers that come from within our soul, not from our thinking. And take care of yourself, ladies. And we'll see you next time on Real People, Real Stories, Raw. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.